Mom taps the corner of my printed manuscript like she's testing cantaloupe. "Your little project looks nice," she says, the tone people reserve for kindergarten art and yoga phases. Then, without inhaling, "Could you do just a nice buffet for Aunt Lila's retirement?" Small. 120. Family only. Just. Small. 120. Family only. I look at the pages I cooked into, the coffee rings I didn't crop out, the notes that say lemon zest, not juice, because details matter. My apron on the chair says yes. This is work in block letters. A friend gave it to me the day we took the cover photo on my stoop. I put it on now because I can feel the conversation coming, and sometimes cotton helps you stand up straight. "I can send a proposal," I say. Mom blinks. "Proposal?" "With pricing and terms," I say, like I'm reading off a grocery list. "Drop-off option, full-service option, deposit to book." She smiles the way polite people smile seconds before they argue. "Oh, honey, it's family." "I know," I say, which is why I'll include a family discount and a clean deadline. I need to reserve the rental kitchen, rent chafers, schedule staff. That all needs dates and dollars. At church on Sunday, Uncle Ray stands to announce the party date. Everyone claps. Someone shouts, "Food!" My mother beams, pats my shoulder, tells the row behind us, "We're so lucky. Maya will cater." The Rouse smiles at me like generosity is my hobby. I manage the kind smile that says both "you're welcome" and "we haven't booked anything." I call Tasha on my drive home. She's my best friend and my second set of hands on tasting days when I forget to taste. "Repeat after me," she says, not even bothering with hello. "Not a favor." "A service. Send the contract." "I don't want drama," I say, watching a family cross against the light with plates of frosted cookies, the universal sign for Fellowship Hall. "We don't do drama," she says. "We do boundaries." At my kitchen table, I cost it out on a yellow pad because yellow pads make feelings behave. For 120, numbers matter. You can't just toss something together for a crowd unless your plan is stomach aches. I make 2 columns like a recipe test. Option A, drop-off buffet, and Option B, full-service buffet. Lemon herb roasted chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, green beans with almonds, a big salad with 2 dressings, soft rolls, lemonade, iced tea, compostable plates and forks, rental chafers and sterno, delivery and setup, kitchen rental, insurance, labor, overhead. I price the work I used to pretend was free: menu planning, shopping, chopping, loading, unloading, admin. If I'm going to make the food, I'm going to use the adult math. I add a tasting, 4 items for $75, credited if they book within a week. I write a clause I've learned the hard way. Unpaid balances equals no service. Then I write it again, bigger. I turn the pad into a clean PDF with my Whisk logo, attach it to an email with the subject proposal. Aunt Lila's retirement, 120 guests, 2 service options, and CC Mom, Aunt Lila, and the 2 cousins who are always helping by volunteering other people's Saturdays. I include a 10% family discount if booked by Friday at 5 p.m., with a 50% deposit to hold the date. I press send at 9:18 a.m. At 9:21, my phone lights up. "Mom, this is a lot?" Me. "It's an event." Mom. "We thought you'd do it as a gift." Me. "I will gift the discount. The service has a price." Mom. "We'll talk." I tie my apron and start testing the lemon bars again because the zest does what the juice can't, and I'm not changing that for anybody. Family group chats bloom like dandelions when there's a party. I'm not in the main one. I see the screenshots when Aunt Diane forwards by accident. It's just food. She's changed. Since when does family need a contract? Then, mercifully, from Aunt Diane. Since it's her job. Mom calls while I'm zesting. Your aunt is shocked, she says, like I've rented a billboard that says, "Pay me, I'm your cousin." She's planning a party, I say. I'm planning a service. We both want it to go well. We could pick up some trays from Costco, Mom offers, the last line before a woman accepts she's not getting a free caterer. You can, I say. If you want me to cook, the proposal stands. Discount holds until Friday at 5. You put a deadline? She sounds like I've announced curfew at a slumber party. Rental kitchens need reservations, I say. So do staff. So does my life. She hangs up with a sigh I can see through the phone. I take a picture of my whisk and post it on my cookbook page with a caption about lemon zest. The comments are kind. It's a reminder. My work lives outside my family's idea of it. Tuesday, Aunt Lila herself calls. She has the voice of a woman who hemmed 3 dresses the morning of 3 weddings and somehow still got eyeliner even. Baby, she says, I didn't know about all this. Lord, 120 is a lot. I told your mama we can do sandwiches. We can, I say, or you can hire me and I'll handle it. I'd like to cook for you, but not for free. There's a quiet that feels like a woman tallying receipts for the first time. How much for the drop-off again? She asks. I tell her the per-person price with the family discount. And the deposit? I tell her. I can hear her pen moving. And if we want servers? I tell her that price too. She whistles, low and not unkind. Being grown is expensive. Being a business is, I say, and we both chuckle because both are true. Wednesday, Cousin Brooke texts. Could you just skip the plates and napkins? People can bring their own. That should make it free, right? I stare at the words "make it free" until they look like a joke. Me. It changes the per-person price by $3.25. It doesn't change labor, food, rentals, insurance. Brooke. You're so professional, LOL. Me. Thank you. Thursday. My phone buzzes with a different tone. My payment processor. You've received a deposit, $1,404. In the notes, Aunt Lila-rette. Drop off. I exhale in a way that sounds like a lid sealing on a Cambro. Aunt Lila texts a minute later. We're doing it right. A heart. Mom calls that night to say nothing and everything. Your aunt insisted on paying the deposit, she says. I still think you could have donated your time. I am donating 10%, I say. I'm also paying my rent. Both can be true. Friday at 4:53 p.m., Mom texts. Full service would be nicer. Me. I can do that. Balance due 7 days prior. Staff added. Mom. 7 days? Me. That's next Friday at 5 p.m. I'll send the updated agreement. I spend the weekend doing what looks like magic when it's free and like logistics when it's paid. Ordering through the restaurant supply, booking 2 Cambros from the rental place, confirming the commercial kitchen hours, texting my favorite servers, pay $22 per hour plus meal plus ride home, and making a spreadsheet that says, chicken 132 pieces, 12 extra, because there is always a cousin whose boyfriend appears hungry and impossible. I print labels for full pans and half pans and write lemon herb chicken. Allergen. Dairy in block letters, because if you're going to feed 120 people, you can't pretend allergies are opinions. Monday, I do the shopping math. Pounds of chicken, pounds of potatoes, pounds of green beans, cases of lemons, gallons of iced tea, ice, fuel. Tuesday, I test the vinaigrette one more time because something told me last batch was 2 shakes too bold. Wednesday, I pull the chicken out to brine in batches and stack it like gold bars in the walk-in. Thursday night, 11:48 p.m., I'm portioning butter into deli cups while Tasha rinses lettuce and a podcast whispers about a bank robbery in the background. My phone lights with a family group screenshot from Aunt Diane. "So proud of our chef," Mom has posted in the event page. "She's doing this as a gift." The comments, hearts, claps. That's our girl. My stomach goes cold, then hot. I wipe my hands, text Mom. "Please correct the post. This is paid." She replies, "Don't make it awkward. People will think you're greedy." Me. "People will think you're honest if you fix it." She doesn't reply. I take a photo of the brining chicken anyway. The work won't gaslight me. I go back to the butter and the schedule. Service plan taped to the wall. 9 a.m. load, 10:15 arrive, 10:30 to 11:30 set/11:45 warmers lit /12:15 line open /132nd pass /2:30 breakdown /3 o'clock out. Under it, in Sharpie. No balance, no unload. The church fellowship hall smells like coffee and Lysol and the 100 parties it held before ours. It's beautiful in the way of rooms that don't pretend to be more than they are. I back the rented van into the loading zone at 10:17. My servers arrive at 10:20. Black pants, closed-toe shoes, hair tied up like respect. I clip on my name badge because it makes strangers stop asking me for their cousin's phone number. Inside, Aunt Lila hugs the air out of me in a way that buys forgiveness. "You look like a magazine," she says when she sees the menu board I lettered last night. The one that says, lemon herb chicken, garlic mash, green beans, big salad. Rolls and below it allergens listed at each station. I grin. "You look retired." At 10:28, I text Mom. "Balance due by 11 a.m. per contract. I've CC'd you and Aunt Lila on the invoice. You can pay by link, card, or check." At 10:42, no payment. At 10:50, Mom breezes in with 3 cousins and a balloon arch. "We can just settle after," she says, hands full of helium and expectations. I point at the invoice and at the printed copy on my clipboard, because one thing I've learned is that paper calms people's certainty. Per our agreement, balance due before service. We start at noon. She laughs lightly. "Don't be silly." I don't laugh. I'm not being silly. I'm being a business. At 10:58, the pastor asks where to put the punch bowl. At 11:02, Tasha whispers, "We're at Sterno -60. At 11:05, my phone buzzes, not with payment, but with another family screenshot. "So thankful for our chef doing this for love," Mom again. My jaw clenches. I swallow the clapback because we are not in a comment section. We are in a fellowship hall with a line of people who will be hungry at noon. At 11:07, I wheel one Cambro to the doorway and park it. The lid stays closed. The van doors stay shut. At 11:10, Mom finds me. "Maya, it's tacky to talk money today." "It's tacky to ignore a signed contract," I say, low and even. "Please pay the balance." She looks past me at the trays, the servers, the work. "We don't have the checkbook. You can use a card. My limit." "Aunt Lila's deposit covered half," I say gently. "You can split it with the other side, or with the cousins, or Venmo someone. But I won't unload until it's paid." She stares like I am a stranger who understands her better than she wants to be understood. "You would let everyone go hungry?" "I'm not letting anyone do anything," I say. "I'm following the terms you agreed to." Uncle Ray appears then, like a stage cue. He's holding a tie he doesn't wear often. "What's the problem?" I show him the invoice. I point at the contract signature. "Balance due before service." He reads. He nods. "Pay the girl," he says to Mom, not unkind. "Or I'll pay and you'll pay me." But pay. At 11:17, Aunt Lila intercepts. "Use my card," she tells the room, voice steady. I'm not letting the food sit in a van because people are shy about adulting. She hands me her visa like a woman who's been saying grace for 40 years and knows that grace sometimes includes pressing enter on a chip reader. I run the card. Approved. I hand back the receipt. I look my mother in the eye. Thank you, I say to Aunt Lila. And for transparency, this was supposed to be paid by yesterday. Please don't put gift on Facebook again. Aunt Lila turns to Mom. Fix it, she says, and that's the end of that part. At 11:23, we unload. The sound of full pans on tables is the sound of my heart rate returning to normal. We light sternos. We label allergens. We set a photo of Aunt Lila in her nursing uniform at the front of the line because stories and food belong together. At 11:55, I put on my "Yes, this is work" apron. I tape 2 foam core signs at the ends of the buffet line. They are not snarky. They are clarity in Arial. Please enjoy today's menu prepared by Maya Carter Catering, and please see allergens at each station. Note: this event is a paid, contracted service. To book future events, mayacartercatering.com. We love you, Aunt Lila. Is it petty? Number: it is a quiet correction to a public mistake. At 12 o'clock, the line opens. The music turns good. The plate at the end of the table, the one where tips go if people are moved to move money, is a mason jar with a small sign. Tips go to staff. The jar fills, not because I demanded it, but because people saw actual work with names and faces attached to it. At 12:17, Mom posts a correction in the event page. Clarifying: we hired Maya's catering for today, with a family discount. So proud of her business. The comments shift. Book me next, chef. How do we order your book? My shoulders drop 3 inches. At 1:03, a cousin tries to dip a roll directly into the mashed potatoes. A server gently hands them a spoon. At 1:27, a teenage boy says, "This chicken slaps." And I grin at Tasha like I just got a Michelin star. At 1:44, we do a second pass through the room with rolls and more green beans, and the shy grandpas take seconds because a woman with tongs makes it easier to admit you liked something. At 2:12, we break down like we practiced. Foil, pans, labels, leftovers to the family fridge with instructions on top. Eat within 3 days. Reheat to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. In the kitchen, I divvy tips. My servers each get their rates plus cash. They thank me with the kind of gratitude that reminds me to put "service fee isn't a tip" in bold next time. I sign the rental return form. I wipe down the last table. I wash my hands and look at my reflection in the metal panel on the fridge. The same face my mother sees when she thinks hobby, the same face my clients see when they think chef. Aunt Lila finds me before I leave. She pulls me into a hug that smells like perfume she only wears on Sundays. "I'm sorry they made you ask," she says into my shoulder. "I'm sorry you had to pay the balance," I say into hers. She pulls back, her eyes sharp with love. "I didn't have to," she says. "I chose to hire you. That means pay. Your mother can settle with me later." She presses something into my hand as if she's giving a child a candy in church. It's a folded check. "For the cookbook launch," she whispers. "Buy yourself the nicer paper for the first run." I start to protest. She shakes her head. "Don't you dare steal my joy." At 3:06, we close the van doors and the fellowship hall door and the part of the story where my work was a favor. The Monday after the party, Mom calls at 7:14 a.m., her witching hour for Midwestern guilt and early birds. I let it ring twice because I am washing Cambros, and I want to answer from calm, not soap. "I fixed the post," she says without hello. "People are ordering your book." "Thank you," I say, meaning it. She exhales. "I shouldn't have said hobby." "It's a beautiful word when it's true," I say, friendly and firm. This isn't one. I know, she says, and I can hear that she does. I grew up in a house where my mother cooked for everyone because that's what mothers did and no one counted. I'm unlearning. I don't like how that feels. Same, I say. I'm learning to count. I don't like how that feels, but I do like how it ends. We talk about the lemon bars, how they were perfect, zest, not juice, how Aunt Lila glowed, how Uncle Ray cried during the slideshow and tried to pretend it was jalapenos. Mom says she'll settle with Aunt Lila over the card. I say, no rush, and mean only timetable, not principle. That afternoon, I send a clean final invoice with a $0 balance and a thank you note that reads like me. Thank you for trusting me with your celebration. Here are reheating instructions, and here's the link to my cookbook. If you want to book again, here's the form. If you want a favor, here's a recipe. Maya. Orders trickle in for the book, then stream. Then a flood the day Aunt Lila posts a photo of her plate with the caption, "Not a hobby." My site pings like a microwave. Confirmed, confirmed, confirmed. By Friday, the first run is paid for before it exists. I upgrade the paper because Aunt Lila told me to. At the next family thing, Cousin Brooke corners me by the deviled eggs. My office manager wants your info, she says, and passes me a business card like an apology. Also, I'm sorry I said you changed. I did, I say, on purpose. She nods, cheeks pink. My manager asked for a proposal. I told her you'd send a contract. She smiles. I said, she's a business. A month later, I host my cookbook launch at the same fellowship hall because sentimental doesn't cancel practical. I rent the room, pay the security deposit, file the permit, book 2 of my servers, who wear my merch aprons and look like an ad for the dignity of food work, and sell tickets at $15 that include a signed copy, lemonade, and a plate of the lemon bars that made this all tolerable. The flyer says, pay what you can. No one turned away. People pay, people stay, people clean up. Mom arrives early with a stack of folding chairs and a face that looks like a woman trying not to cry about something she didn't know she could be proud of. She sets a jar by the door that says scholarship copies and drops in a 20. My dad follows her with a box cutter and a joke about moving product. He buys 5 books and asks me to sign them for his poker buddies. When he writes the check, he rounds up. It's clumsy and perfect. During the Q&A, a woman asks, "Any advice for dealing with family who thinks what you do is cute?" The room laughs the kind of laugh that knows the answer already hurts. I take a breath. Write down what it costs, I say. And then say it out loud. And then send the contract. You don't have to be mean. You just have to be clear. We don't do scenes, we do boundaries. I look at my mother, who is nodding in the second row like she's at a revival. She holds up her phone and takes a picture of me under the banner that says, "Yes, this is work." For once, I hope she posts it. Later, while I'm stacking sheet pans in the van, Aunt Lila tucks her arm in mine. "I want 12 more books," she says. "Christmas." "Full price," I say, teasing. "Full price," she says, not teasing. On the drive home, Tasha texts a screenshot of a message from someone I don't know. "Saw your foam board sign at Aunt Lila's party. Booked you for our PTA banquet. Vendor forms attached. What's your deposit?" I smile at the phrase, "What's your deposit?" It's the easiest yes in the world because it sounds like respect. That night, I put the first copy of my book on my coffee table and run my fingers over the cover the way my mother tapped the manuscript weeks ago. I think about the line from the proposal, "Unpaid balances equals no service," and how that turned out to be a sentence about more than money. About not cooking out of guilt, about not letting people treat your life like the sample table at Costco, about making food because you love people and also because you love yourself. Mom texts at 9:12 p.m. "I'm sorry I made you ask. I'm glad you asked. Where do I leave a review? Me. Wherever people can see it. A review shows up the next morning on my website, 5 stars, from a user named Claudia C. The title, Not a Hobby. The text, we hired Maya for a 120-person event. She sent a contract. We paid it. It tasted like respect. I print it. I tape it above my desk, next to the recipe for lemon bars. I add a line to the end of the recipe, just for me. Serving suggestion, preheat your boundary, plate your price, garnish with a clean yes.